This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you, and today we're taking a look at the Cthulu version 3 by Cthulu Mod. But before we get into this review, I do want to take the time to remind you that we all have a part to play in the fight against Big Pharma, Big Tobacco, the FDA, and the deeming regulations that are looming over our heads. That means that if you're on social media, paint the best possible image of the vape community that you can. If you're a shop or a shop owner, remember it's your duty to remind your customers that they need to get in this fight if they want to keep vaping. And follow all your calls to action, including those to support HR 2058 and the Cole Bishop Amendment. We all have a part to play. One thing that I love is the packaging on the Cthulu version 3. It's very minimalist kind of quality to it. What I love about the packaging on the Cthulu version 3 is the minimalist nature of it. Black letters and black outlines. That's it. Black outline of the RTA, the two decks, Cthulu version 3. On the side, you get this logo with this funky squid looking dude. That's it. On the back of the box, you have some specs, some information about the device, what makes it unique. There's no fire, there's no water, there's nothing elemental, there's no flames. So you have your RTA system and you have two decks. That's all it shows. And it's kind of reminiscent of the Kraken logo. That's what it kind of reminds me of. Anyone out there remember the Kraken? I know I do. It just kind of looks familiar, this logo. It's this big octopus squid looking motherfucker is what it looks like. When you open up the box, everything is its own little section here. You got your... Inside the box, you'll find your RTA, a spare glass, a drip tip adapter, a different deck, and a baggie of extras. So you have some really nice extras that come along with this device, namely the spare deck. Yeah, probably the coolest thing about the Cthulu version 3 is that you get not one, but two different decks here. You get a sort of standard K-Fun style deck, except, well, the K-Funs I remember, you had like this screw that you sort of wrapped your wire around and you sort of trapped it in there. Somehow you managed to do it. It wasn't always easy, but you did it. This one is basically sort of a wire trap configuration. When you're trying to seat your coils in here, all you need to do is lift up the screws all the way, anchor your leads into the little wire trap that's been created there, and then screw them back down. That's it. Super, super easy to position your leads into this single coil deck. I love that it comes with two decks. That's just awesome. The other deck is a Velocity style deck, more or less. It doesn't quite have that same sort of aesthetic, like that fork that the Velocity style deck does, but instead it's sort of like this big blocky version of a Velocity style deck. The main larger block here that has like a little hole in the middle that I'm really not sure what it's for, by the way. No idea. I've looked at it and I still have no clue what that little hole in the middle does. It doesn't anchor a lead anywhere. I don't know what that thing is for. So if someone knows, feel free to mention in the comments, but I have no idea. The big block is your positive block, the small block is your negative block. And the post holes are just huge. You can fit a ton of stuff in these post holes. I mean, this is a deck that you would find in an RDA. I mean, that's what RTAs have become. I mean, they are basically just RDAs with tanks. I mean, that's what they are now, RDAs with tanks. And both the single coil deck and the dual coil deck, they both have the same sort of catch cups for your wicks. Your wicks get sort of pushed into these wicking catch cups, and they direct your juice to those catch cups with the juice flow control. And it works really, really well. What I find works the best is when I'm packing the wick on into the catch cups, I don't push it all the way down to the floor of the catch cup. Or if I do, I make sure that the wicking there is very, very light. I want to be able to see some of the bottom of that catch cup through the wicking hole. That seems to work the best to avoid any dry hits and keep the wick and the coil nice and saturated. And the manual is there, it's very simple. All it's really showing you how to do is just how to change out the deck. There's not a whole lot else there. And I'm glad it was there because I was a little bit confused at first. Dude, you really needed a manual for that? I mean, I could have, oh yeah, that's right, I wasn't here. What do you do without me? How have you survived this long without me? I mean, really, jeez. I started going at it, trying to pull it apart. But no, there's actually more to it. You actually have to unscrew the positive pin and then put it in there. One thing that I noticed was the positive pin was really, really in there the first time that I went to take it out. I wasn't able to do it with just a standard set of screwdrivers, honestly, and I ended up kind of just scraping the positive pin a little bit, just shredded it a little bit, just a tiny bit, enough that I realized, okay, if I do this anymore, I'm really gonna fuck up the positive pin, so I stopped. So when you're ready to change out the deck, you're gonna wanna get yourself like a real screwdriver. Don't go at it with the standard sort of screws you use to build your RDAs with. It just won't work right. You'll regret it. Now, if you notice, I'm not using a drip tip with this device. No, I don't. I just actually use it just like this. I use it like a tailpipe. And it vapes great that way. It doesn't get hot over here. Sometimes I get a little juice that collects in this little chamber right here, but I just clean that out with a paper towel. That's the same with any device, but the reason I don't use a drip tip is because I've already kind of lost the drip tip it came with, because it's incredibly loose. Did y'all hear that? Just checking. Did you hear that? That was kind of crazy. Yeah, anyway. It squeaked. I don't know if you heard it, I heard it. So the drip tip was really, really loose, and the drip tip adapter is just as loose. The Cthulu version 3 comes with a Delrin drip tip. It's a proprietary connection, and it does come with an adapter for your regular drip tips, but the problem is that they don't really fit so well. They don't really fit at all, actually. Like, this thing has no hold whatsoever. The O-rings, they're just not strong at all on the drip tip or the drip tip adapter. I don't even want to put my own drip tip in here because I don't want to lose one. So I've just been using it without the drip tip. That's really the one negative on this device for me. The one big glaring issue is that the O-rings on the drip tip and the drip tip adapter, they're just not chunky enough to hold the drip tip in place. Every time I put it somewhere, I lost the drip tip. It kept falling out until finally I lost the thing. And the drip tip adapter, I don't want to lose drip tip, so I haven't been using it, which is fine. I did it again! Oh God, now he's gonna be playing with that thing all day long. I'm not gonna be able to get a wink of sleep. He's like a dog with a brand new chew toy. Maybe I can disappear the box same way I did that drip tip. The box squeaks. Cool. So I haven't been using the drip tip on this. I've just been using it like this, to the top of the RDA to my lips, which is fine because it's not getting hot. I'm vaping it at 90 watts. 90 watts, and there's no heat coming up through this. And that's really because, really it's a large RTA, so I haven't had an issue with any heat. It's mighty cloudy that way too, gotta say. The closure at the top of the tank, it's really nice knurling up here, great threads. The juice fill port in the Cthulu version 3 is massive. There's plenty of room for you just to take your dripper bottle and just dump juice right on in there. You can actually just take your bottle, upturn it, dump the juice on in there straight from the bottle, and just say, screw the dripper. It's huge, it's just ginormous. And the grippiness, the knurling on the top cap is fantastic too. Everything here is beautifully threaded. No issues with cross threading, no issues where I was worried I might cross thread it. The knurling up here is really, really nice. Inside, you got a nice roomy area where you can refill. Really nice and roomy, which is kind of standard with a 25 millimeter, I want to say it's 25 millimeter tank. It's a little bit smaller at the base than it is around the tank. It might even be, you know, 26, 28 millimeters around the tank, something like that. But at the base, I want to say it's 25. The knurling at the bottom is really nice too. It's really easy to adjust the airflow, which moves very, very freely, but it doesn't round robin. It just kind of opens and closes. That's it. And the knurling there is a nice grippy area. And that's sort of inverted down toward the base. It makes it really easy to grip. I really like how the airflow control works on this thing. The juice flow control works just as well. It's interesting because the juice flow control, there's an option for dual juice flow control and an option for a quad juice flow control, which is basically because you have a dual deck and a quad deck. So you want to make sure that when you're using the dual coil deck, you have all juice flow holes open, and when you're using the single coil deck, you have only 2 juice flow holes open. Very, very easy to open up the juice flow and close it down. I close it down when I'm refilling it, and I open it up right after. Haven't had any issues with dry hits or issues with wicking. It's just been a very pleasant vaping experience all the way around. No dry hits whatsoever, and I've got it turned up at 90 watts on a 0.27 ohm build. It's delicious. I think I can turn it up even higher than that. I think I'm gonna go for 130. Lots of clouds, lots of flavor. It's just a fun RDA to build on, and I love that it comes with both those decks that way. That way you can really experiment, really play around with it. You can go with a single coil, you can make a chimney coil, you can do all kinds of fun things with that sort of dual post deck. You can probably do the shotgun coil with, you know, 2 coils side to side. You can get kind of creative. And the quad post deck, more or less a velocity style deck really. So there's lots of build options here, there's lots of airflow. There's pretty much nothing that you can throw at this that it probably couldn't handle. For someone that likes to go a little crazier with their build, someone that likes to have a lot of air, yeah, it's a good one. It's a lot of fun. I really like it. My only real qualm with it is, like I said, the drip tip. You know, the drip tip just, it doesn't have a whole lot of an O-ring there. 2 O-rings there, and they are teeny, teeny, tiny. And there's just nothing to keep that drip tip in there. Every time I put it in a pocket somewhere, the drip tip falls out. And I know that if I use my own drip tips with the adapter, I'm gonna end up losing it. So I've just been using it like this, no drip tip. I've been happy though. I've been enjoying it. That's the Cthulu V3 from Cthulu Mods. Till next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. And if you want to continue to see products like the Cthulu version 3 on the market, remember to do your part, support HR 2058 and the Cole-Bishop Amendment. Only through changing the predicate date can we have a hope for the future of vaping. Vape on, vapers.